Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, our Simple Abundance here, following through Sarah Von Braunick's book, Simple Abundance. And Annabelle's in the background. That's my beautiful calico kitty, if you can see her. She's always trying to be famous. We have been talking about, in this section of the book, about bringing our gifts to the world as capital W work, right? Because it's inspired and facilitated by the great creator. We've been talking about that. Have you been thinking about some things that have been coming to mind? Things that you feel really inspired about, that give you like a zest for waking up in the morning, something to be working on or working towards? Sarah talks to us in today's entry, it's August 17th, about the fact that she shares her experience when she put her first book out, which was a fictional book. It wasn't this Simple Abundance book. It was a fictional story. And she had so much trouble accepting the feedback. And not that it was negative, but she didn't feel deserving. Like, she did say that she felt like spirit was working through her in that story. So she felt like she didn't deserve to be praised for it. And I'm wondering if you can relate to that. Have you ever felt that way? That you've put something out there in some way and then you felt weird about taking the credit for it? Wonder if you have. Let me know in the comments. So Sarah wants to know why, because she struggled with this for so many years. Why do we have trouble owning our gifts? Like, why can't we accept praise and accolades for something that we put out there? It's probably, we've talked about so many topics, but it's probably similar to the one that we talked about with pride, because somehow in our households, many of us are taught, and I was, that you're not supposed to be boastful and have a lot of pride. So when you do something great and then you're getting recognized for it, that might feel weird, or you might feel like you're being too prideful in it. So that could be something to do with it. She also talks to us about, she was having a conversation with her sister, because the character in her first book was called Mrs. Sharp. And I don't know, Sarah was somehow comparing herself all the time to Mrs. Sharp. And her sister was like, will you just stop? You are Mrs. Sharp, because she created Mrs. Sharp. So why would she be trying to compete with this thing that she created? Again, with the competition that we talked about recently. Sarah says, why didn't I own my talent? This is a question I asked myself for years. Perhaps it was because if I failed, I would have to own any failure as much as any success. And I didn't want to, quote, fail better anymore. I wanted to live a creative life, she says. I believed my creativity could only be owned if the world acknowledged that I possessed it. What about that? That's something to think about. I had many lessons to learn before acknowledging that Spirit had used my personal gifts to give outward expression to something that would not have existed if I had refused to take up my pen. And having accepted the great Creator's assignment and run with it, I had both the right and the obligation to own and to share the work that resulted. So do you, she tells us. That would be a shame if you did some great thing, like you wrote a book like Sarah did, and then you just never shared it because you were afraid or didn't feel worthy. I think it's really interesting what she said about how she was not going to believe that she was an artist, in this case a writer, unless the world said she was. What do you think about that? I could see having that thought, but I hope you don't have that thought. If you want to be something, I hope you can just say, I am such and such. It doesn't matter whether the world is paying you for that or is, writing articles in magazines and doing documentaries on you and everything. You can be an artist of the everyday. So you can, remember what she had us exclaim the other day? It was like, I am an artist of the everyday. So it doesn't matter whether anybody has given you credentials or given you the acceptance into the world of being an artist. Because that's you. You're authentically being yourself. And that is being an artist of the everyday. Every day when you get up and you're just yourself, there's an artistry in that. We talked about the tapestry of all of the simple abundance principles: joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. And I think, well, I've mentioned harmony and music and creativity in respect to that, but I do think about the way that the symbiotic relationship of all those principles and the tapestry that we talked about and the golden thread that goes through all of them. So if you're using all of them, then what is the word for somebody that makes a tapestry or works with tapestry? There must be a word. Tapestry artist, I don't know. So don't let it be that society has to tell you that you are something that you want to be. And then if things get out there, I hope that you will be able to be like, yes, I did that. Even if you feel like maybe spirit moved through you and it was more spirit, you could share that. You could say, you know what, I was following the great creator's assignment. That's, I guess, a little humble way to say it. But I hope that you can own it, because that'd be a shame to just not feel like you're worthy for the hard work that you put out there. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about that specifically. There's an entry about owning your talent. So tune in for that. I will talk to you then. I hope you have some thoughts about this entry. Let me know in the comments. Yep, that was a good one. I'll see you tomorrow for our next entry. Bye-bye.